Please subscribe to help you and your motorcycle perform better.
We've still got a green flag, so I might go for a couple of cheeky laps here. So that is maximum. Now after the ride, back into the hot pit, looking at the right side of the tire. Not a whole lot of heat there. Let's move to the left. Now you can see where it's biting into the tire, and you can see the shiny area, which shows where all that debris from the bite point, where my finger is going to the edge, creating aggregated balls of rubber. So the setting with the mass damper, the shock isn't working. So unfortunately, at that point, we need to try a different setting. Now, in terms of trying a different setting, then obviously we've got to go ahead and reset. So let's take it all the way out. And in doing that, now we need to make a decision and go, okay, where are we going? So we'll go one turn in, and we'll go ahead now, suit up again, get the camera ready, get back on the bike, and away we go for the next ride. Okay, quick pit stop for a splash and dash on fuel. Tires cooled off a little bit, so I'm going to take an extra lap. So we'll go 5 laps instead of 4. Now, as mentioned, we're on the minimum setting. You've got to give it another lap for sure to get the heat back in the suspension. Maybe 2 would be fair for an evaluation, although oil does keep heat for a while. The wind's blowing pretty hard here, and it is very cold. So let's see, when we start off, if it gets noticeably better as we roll through the laps, then at that point, obviously, something is making a difference with oil temperature. Technically, if we back the mass damper off, it would logically, or common sense might, dictate that the bumps get rougher, because when we put it to the recommended setting, excuse me, everything smoothed out a lot more. So taking it to the barely minimum setting should be a good comparison also to the start at 2 1/4. So we'll see what we get. And again, that 75–80% for pace to sustain accuracy is really important. That's consistent. Same thing into the cone. Good. More. Yep, no problem with front grip. The rear is definitely noisy, chattery in the ball. Now, first big noticeable change is on the back straight, and the smoother. Nope. More feedback into the seat, so that would suggest that at the minimum setting, relatively speaking, one turn in, it's not assisting. And the known chatter bumps here, which we said were the same irrespective of the setting, they are the same. So neutral throttle, sustained speed, doesn't feel like there's much of a difference. But no surprise relative to what we've learned so far. Still bumpy in the ball, plus the transition. Yep. Front and rear feel about the same. No noticeable softer, but
the rear compared to the recommended setting. Now obviously there's going to be time spent fine-tuning from a quarter turn from maximum all the way to 3 turns out. See which for this track surface at my pace is going to be optimal, and the later test on temperature being dramatically higher, because that affects oil consistency and flow, whether that has a profound effect on the mass camper itself. So we'll have to wait and see on that one for a hot day, which we're not going to get in the immediate future. Last lap coming up. Consistent, because we've got to bring it back so that tie wear comparison is fair. Alright, so that's the 4 laps. Let's bring it in. Let's see what we've got. And that's the beauty of on-track testing. In just 4 laps at a good clip, you can definitely get a better read on the tire, and it will change. So because of that, that makes an enormous difference on the amount of time spent dialing your bike in, street versus track. Just because this is our in lap, you can't slow down. Gotta keep going the same. So with the 3 settings, there is a tangible difference. There's not much between 2 1/4 is delivered and 1 for full soft. But at 4 for maximum, there's a very, very tangible difference. And at that point, now the question is, does 5 make it better, or does 5 make it worse? So depending on the time we've got left, that will determine how many laps and what I can change. Okay, on the right side, we've definitely got more debris. We actually have quite a bit more tear in the tire up in this region. So the tire is not glued to the ground, it's bouncing. And that does in fact correspond to what I was feeling. So let's move to the other side of the tire. Now, the edge of the tire is pretty clean, but this, in terms of where that roughness and texture was, its roughness is absolutely different. It's completely different. Tangibly, it just feels like really sharp edges coming down the tire. Because it's getting cut, we're also getting a ton more debris on the edge of the tire. Now, because of that, the tire's wearing faster. So that setting did not help us at all. So the question now is, okay, 4's recommended. Why don't we go try a different setting? So in this case, let's go to maximum. And come a half a turn back and try that and see what we get. Again, due to the video length and sitting still for a minute, we're going to have to take at least 2 warm-up laps, because the front tire by the time we got done was pretty cool. We'll obviously have to take 5 laps and maybe 6 We'll see how much time we get before they throw the check engine, but I know we're pretty close. Alright, so let's see now. In through the ripples, drive, smoother. Again, through the ripples and driving. Use it, but still there. The ball is definitely with the duress plus throttle in the second half, smoother. Still as bumpy through the air with neutral throttle. Still as bumpy coming into crash corner? Yes, definitely. So the slower speeds with partial throttle certainly don't make a difference. Same in the long right. See, but so far yes. Now into the bumps. Same. Not smoother. You can feel the feedback in your bump. With a more sustained pace, much better. So now we're testing quarter turn increments to find what we need. That's going to be an interesting question. For the ball and a little too tight. Bring it around, wait, there we go. Okay, your last lap. Missed it. Too much speed. Too slow on the braking. Come on, focus. Make it fair. Better entry into the ball. definitely lower speeds, neutral throttle, bumpy. But as soon as you get past half throttle, it smooths right out. And it really, honestly, is a tangible difference. So, if I'm correct, then if a potentiometer is put on the bike, that should translate to smoother data on the graph. Yeah, definitely lower speeds, neutral throttle, bumpy. But as soon as you get past half throttle, it smooths right out. And it really, honestly, is a tangible difference. So, if I'm correct, then if a potentiometer is put on the bike, that should translate to smoother data on the graph. It should. Interesting, on the close to recommended setting, bike wheelies. I thought that was inconsistency, but that seems like it's provable. And obviously with temperature falling somewhat consistently, it was interesting to see the difference with recommended versus previous. So let's see what we got this time. We've still got a green flag, so I might go for a couple of cheeky laps here. So that is maximum. We're going to come a quarter turn back from maximum and see what we can get. If I can sneak in 3 laps, this would be great. So let's see what we can do. It's going to be dark pretty quick here, so I'm going for that cheeky 3 laps. I just negotiated a deal. But again, gotta be careful. Cold tires. Alright, that's 2 in. Now we should be able to get a little more momentum, a little better acceleration. Now let's test the ball. Say much as a muchness there. Definitely still smooth on the back straight. With a steady state, neutral throttle. I'm going to say a little bumpier actually, just that quarter turn. So our range might be 3.5 to 4.5 to fine tune and test. We'll validate that because this is just as bumpy. In fact, that pushed me wide. Okay. With hard acceleration. Just that little bit bumpy, and you can feel it for sure. Let's confirm that in the bowl. Yeah, it's not chatter, but when you hit the big bumps, you absolutely feel it. Okay, fuel lights on. We got lucky. Turning. Again, slower corners. bumpy. Bring her off. I'm going to say that that is not detrimental by any stretch of the imagination, but it is certainly a hair bumpier. And that obviously, for someone to claim that, you've got to do a lot of track days and a lot of riding. So I might just qualify for that. So as we bring the bike off, we've still got to check the rear tyre wear, and in that short stint, see if the drive portions of the tyre are indeed rougher. And we need to do that before we run out of light. Okay, now after that stint with the revised setting, this side of the tyre does look considerably better. All that cut we had in this area is definitely smoothed out. The amount of debris we were seeing in the shiny part of the tyre compared to partial throttle has cleaned up quite a lot, and it's much smoother to the touch across the tyre. Let's move across. Again, much smoother where we're neutral throttle moving to full. And guess what? All that debris, all the garbage that we had is now starting to ball up on the edge of the tire. So what's very important here is that you understand that this is a cluster. It has many rubber balls in it because it's cleaning. The other part that's really important to see is that all this irregular debris here on the edge of the tire is part of self-cleaning. So these clusters we call aggregates because there's multiple rubber balls in each one. There's a set of twins. Hey, be easy, easy. And there obviously is a much bigger cluster. So clusters show something very different. Clearly, the maximum setting at 5 may clean us up again. So we've got some more testing to do to figure out with fine-tuning where we're going to go and what we're going to get and how much improvement we can find. And it might be in as little as 1/8 of a turn.